Yes, thank you. Thank you, Theo. And I see that we are working on the same topic with the same authors. So I'm here to present this paper with, I'm an associate professor at the University of Turin at the computer science department. And then my colleagues in this paper are Algan, Tezel, that we have seen in the paper before, for the University of Nottingham, and Paolo Mistrangelo, that's an architect, expert in the urban planning, that is working with us in this pilot. We are trying to define a pilot for the digital environmental property tokenization, and this paper, it's a follow-up of the paper that I presented last year here in EC3 2022, and in this year we try to find some founders, and also we organized a chain of colleagues and practitioners that are connected to this topic, and we talk about the Italian context. So as first, our idea was the property tokenization, and we presented the framework. In our idea, the owner can split his asset in different parts that can be then tokenized as asset-based tokens. And in this case, we have other sub-owners that can invest in this kind of property. They can decide how much to invest in the asset, and they can have a very high rate of return with this kind of logic and business model. And the main owner can gain liquidity also for implementing the assets on the point of view, for example, of energy performance and energy quality. So in our idea, this concept can improve sustainability for environmental condition of the built environment, and socially for extending the possibility of participating in the asset market also to weaker investors. So the advantage that we can envision in this moment are the cheaper and frictionless transaction, enhanced transparency concerning transactional data and information about the issuers, and granting investors with direct access to primary and secondary markets, and or promoting assets flexibility. And moreover, we want to underline as this kind of system can ease a cross-border transaction involving real estate asset in different countries. So we found that for our contest we have a legal problem, because in Italy we have the Notary Council, that is the main authority about the real estate assets property rights. So one of the first issues that we want to solve is to have a contact and a dialogue with this council. And we started our process and the cooperation with them. We think that this kind of asset property tokenization can be an extensive interpretation of the legal institution of the bare ownership. And so we could find the first shared land between our concept and the Notary Council, but I can tell you that in this moment they are not so open in trying to figure out another system that can support the legal rights on different assets, and on fragmented assets, because it's a new concept. And in Italy we have a different culture about having a house, for example, compared to the north of Europe, where it's more common to rent a house. So in our asset markets it's very difficult to find a different solution than buying a house. So the idea is to work with this in a shared field of investigation with different actors, And as we know that the European countries are working on outline a legal measure for this use of smart contracts and tokens, we think that we can propose pilots that I will show you briefly. It's at the beginning. It's a preliminary phase. But we know that the target for the EU is the pilot scheme for market infrastructure based on distributed ledger technologies. We started to checking how is used the decentralized ledger technology for land rights definition. And we can see that in this moment there are some experience related to the first level that you can see in this table coming from the Graglia and Mellon publication, where the blockchain is used for checking and recording the signature, for example, or for as a shared source of truth regarding the process, as you can see in level 2, or as a smart SQ. For the level 4, there are private permissioned blockchain that replaces the central database and store the records. And this used a private blockchain, but the recording function still is on a public blockchain. And we don't have any, we cannot find experience about the higher level of this application of blockchain that can, in the higher level of the number 8 interoperability, the idea is to have the possibility to merge different blockchain registries and cadastre and other rights about, in this case, land, but can be extended to assets. So in the property token represents the fraction of the asset, defining the new property with a secondary owner submitted to the main one. Okay, so this is the main concept, and maybe this comes from the first part of our research. And the idea is to, as we said, have an inclusive vision, also for weak investors. So, for example, young couples, retired person and seniors, or people with a reduced purchasing power. And so we applied for a national founding project that is Foundation CRT. And we proposed this PropTok project that is our concept of this platform, integrated platform for defining the property tokenization structure when we want to use the tools such as the GIS for defining the location of the assets, the BIM for checking the compliance of the regulation about the assets, and working on the verification, as you can see, the verification and notarization, the validation process, because we can organize all our framework, but then if we don't have the possibility to have a dialogue with the society and the official rights about the assets, it's not working. And so we organize these work packages that you can see here, and we are organizing a multi-competencies project with our colleagues. We work on construction manager, and we have colleagues from the sector of computer science for sure, and the sector of economies. And then we will have the implementation. We are now working for developing, we have the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure for our pilot, but for today I cannot show you because we have to wait for the end of the month for the approval process. And then in the project we will have a dissemination phase for trying to involve people in this kind of experience. So I try to be brief, but we want to address this sustainable development goal. So try to reduce the poverty, inequality, and support the sustainable cities and communities. And this is very important also in when we applied for fundings, to try to connect the action to the social outcomes. we investigate the target groups that can we reach with our project, and here the platform we started into working on the cadastre, because our idea is to use this platform also for digitalize the national cadastre. And we also found that there are discrepancy of update about the cadastre and the urbanization tool that we are using nationally. But there is this, our colleagues work on the developing on this map where we can download the buildings, and so we can this is an example of the University of Economics in Milan. We can use this shape for starting our creation of the platform of the building, and we can enrich semantically the extraction from the cadastre through possibly different tools and procedure about BIM authoring tools or coding system or blended system. And we defined this map about the economic value of the different areas that is used for creating two calculators. In this moment, we have two tools for calculating the property token value and the annual income rate that is derived by the calculation. And we did it for understanding the advantages that the investors can have with this kind of organization of the fragmentation of the assets. So, depending on the age of the owner and the fraction that she or he can be available to give in disposal, we have the calculation of the different revenue and income. And we have seen that it's an investment that can be very advantageous, yes. And we also made a simulation about the buyback. So if the owner wants to go back to the decision of tokenize the asset and gain all the property, how can be the cost and the loan payment. So we support this sustainability organization of the pilot. We did a cost estimation of the digital infrastructure for creating this this backbone, technological backbone that we need. But we think that this is not the real challenge. But the main challenge is to face with asset ownership laws and regulation and asset recording and registry administration, and that we need to work with the policymakers and governments, or trying to understand how the public pressure can support the awareness on tokenization and blockchain-based application. The next step will be the definition of the cloud-based architecture that we have, and the work with the target groups for checking how to deal with the property rights. And then we want to go ahead with the validation with the other focus groups. I go to the conclusion. So we summarize a preliminary model concerning tokenization of assets supported by GIS-BIM and blockchain technologies in our national contest. And we are trying to include legal, social, technological, and management readiness as key concern for the real-life implementation. Here there are some options about the fractional ownership that we can propose, and the idea to have this new business model that can support the energy retrofit of the building and mitigates the problem of housing that is diffused in Europe, and increase the inclusivity of the asset market for all the possible participants, underprivileged also. Here my colleagues, thank you for the attention. Sorry for the few minutes more.